Happy New Year, guys! Here's to a great 2022!
You are now watching The Beach!
New Year's is celebrated with fireworks, champagne, and partying. It's exponentially more fun if you have a second player. And with that being said, I decided to create a new tradition. We'll be celebrating every New Year by taking an in-depth look at a Nintendo 3DS game. We started off 2021 with the Mario Kart 7 episode of Mario Kart Origins, and this year we'll be taking a look at a new game that frankly isn't very new at all. The series I always bring up when it comes to unbearable gaps without a new entry is Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 released almost 8 years ago, but as it turns out, there's another major Mario series that's gone even longer without a new entry. It's 2D Mario. The main reason why the gap doesn't feel as long for 2D Mario compared to Mario Kart is because of the Super Mario Maker games. Although they're not the same as the traditional 2D Mario adventures, fans have created clever levels, and there's even a story mode including over 100 levels made by Nintendo themselves in Super Mario Maker 2. Whereas with Mario Kart, nothing that's released since Mario Kart 8 could even come close to replacing a mainline game. Mario Kart Tour is the closest thing to Mario Kart 9, but was ruined by that despicable greed and the loot boxes. But in the end, none of that changes the continuum of time and space. The newest 2D Mario games are almost a decade old. New Super Mario Bros., a series that's now defined by stagnance and repetition. Pretty ironic considering new is in the title. The thing is, New Super Mario Bros. Was quite original. It had many concepts and mechanics unseen in prior Mario games and felt like an evolution of 2D Mario. If the game was called something like Super Mario Bros. Forever or Super Mario Bros. Revolution, I guarantee the game would never be associated with a negative stigma. New Super Mario Bros. Wii is often seen as a game where the decline of the Mario series begun. I'll be doing a full video with Starchronics defending New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but I will state flat out, this game was indeed original. The new power-ups were great. The presentation was given an overhaul with brand new graphics and music, and it even introduced co-op multiplayer. If a game was able to encourage my brother and I to take a break from beating each other up to play the game, it was clearly doing something right. If the series was just left at the first two games, I can guarantee you the new Super Mario Bros. Name would be prestigious. But from 2012 to 2016, the Mario series faced sterilization. Most spin-offs forcefully tied into New Super Mario Bros., and thankfully, most of the games now are creative once again. But in 2012 specifically, the world was not only supposed to end, but Nintendo tried their absolute best to assure it would. That was the year we got two new Super Mario Bros. Games, with New Super Mario Bros. 2 in the summer and New Super Mario Bros. U in the fall. Since New Super Mario Bros. 2 came first, I'll be covering that game before you. Considering this year marks a decade since the game released, it's not very new, is it? It also wasn't very new when it released. Many stated that it was nothing more than a glorified expansion of New Super Mario Bros. Wii with coins, and at face value, it certainly does look like it. But the question is New Super Mario Bros. 2 the gold standard of 2D Mario, or is it nothing but fool's gold? In 2010, Miyamoto stated both 3D and 2D Mario games were coming to the 3DS. What came out of the 3D Mario game was none other than Super Mario 3D Land, a different yet familiar take on 3D Mario that fully took advantage of the 3DS. At the time, 3DS games were all about the 3D, and for a 2D Mario game, I thought it would be a great idea to resurrect ideas from the cancelled Virtual Boy Mario Land. But unfortunately, nothing even remotely similar to any Super Mario Land games made its way into New Super Mario Bros. 2, but it did have something golden setting it apart from other games. This game heavily marketed the major focus on coins.
You don't see poor people doing this!
The secondary objective of the game is to collect 1 million of them. It was certainly intriguing, but how did the game hold up? The story of New Super Mario Bros. 2 is one of the deepest stories in the entire Mario series. Bowser sends in millions of coins into the Mushroom Kingdom to create hyperinflation, essentially making him worthless. His goal is to have his own currency, Koopa Coin, become the dominant one, so the Mushroom Kingdom could become Bowser's Kingdom. It's up to Mario and Luigi to use their powers of their companion Game Boy Light to mine natural resources to create a currency, backed by gold, to regain power of the Mushroom Kingdom. Okay, that was a joke, but the story I literally made up in less than 2 minutes is way more interesting than what they actually went with. Cue the ICQ. The Koopalings kidnap Peach because Bowser told them to, and it's up to Mario and Luigi to save her. The only interesting thing here is that Bowser Jr. oddly isn't here at all. Maybe this took place before the other new Super Mario Bros. Games, but considering the theme of coins, wouldn't it make sense to, have a villain obsessed with coins? 6 golden coins? Having Wario as the villain, or even appearing in any capacity, would have been perfect. But no, this is a modern Mario game, so Bowser has to be the villain. It would have been nice to have a new story and a different villain, but the story or lack thereof will not make or break a 2D Mario game. What will make or break the game is the gameplay, levels, and locations. The gameplay in New Super Mario Bros. 2 is identical to the first game. It looks exactly like Wii, but you can't spin jump. Apparently, it is absolutely immoral to designate the spin jump to the R button. Best not to have it at all. I'm guessing this was a decision made by the same freak who only allowed players to turn off the one-button spin jump by using a cheat code in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. This game fits the theme of 2012 perfectly and devoutly follows the idea of YOLO, only this time it stands for You Obviously Lack Originality. Let's take a look at the power-ups. The raccoon suit from Super Mario Bros. 3 returns, functioning just like it did before. It was so weird in Super Mario 3D Land that they brought back the Tanuki suit, but you couldn't even fly with it. They really should have brought back Rabbit Mario from Super Mario Land 2, as that power-up was designed just for hovering. With the raccoon suit here, it is a great power-up. I love the raccoon suit, and it's easily the best flight power-up in any Mario game. A power-up like the propeller suit is primarily useful for vertical movement, you have the squirrel suit which is the complete opposite, being used primarily for horizontal movement, and the cape from Super Mario World, well, that's highly overpowered. The raccoon suit is versatile, but not overpowered because it has a flight meter, which is why I love it so much. The Mega and Mini Mushroom also return here, and the Mega Mushroom is elusive in this game. And the Mini Mushroom, well, that still remains only a key to get star coins and find secret exits. The thing is, these are the only power-ups in the game, the Fire Flower and Raccoon suit being the only ones you'll use frequently. Why not have the return of the actual Tanuki suit and Hammer suit, as well as some new power-ups? Actually, there is a new power-up, but it's only useful for one level. You've heard of Buckenberry, and now it's time for a la Gold to shine. The Gold Flower transforms Mario and Luigi into perfect Mario Kart candidates. With Mario being gold and Luigi being silver, you can unleash extremely powerful fireballs that turn bricks into coins and damage pretty much every enemy. It's a blast to use, but considering how powerful it is, it's only good for one level. And that's a blessing in disguise because the difficulty, or lack thereof, is one of the biggest issues with New Super Mario Bros. 2. This game goes out of its way to be as easy as possible. Difficulty is subjective, but what's not subjective is that it's harder to reach the game over screen than it is to beat this game. Coins will still give you an extra life after collecting 100 of them, and considering the sheer abundance of coins, it wouldn't be surprising to have over 1,000 lives by the end of the game. But it doesn't end there. The levels are well designed and are fun to play, but almost all of them lack challenge and would have greatly benefited from more obstacles and enemies. The game is still fun, but it does get very close to being so easy to the point of being boring. I think you can gather that New Super Mario Bros. 2 feels no different than the first two games, with very few new mechanics, but the thing is, we haven't gotten to the golden elephant in the room, the coins. Levels are absolutely bursting with them. Almost all the new mechanics surround the coin gimmick too. By hitting a multi-coin block enough times, Mario and Luigi can wear a gold block, giving them up to 100 coins, while also serving as an extra hit. Jumping through a gold ring turns all enemies into gold, and can change their function. Jumping on a gold Goomba gives you more coins. Finding a gold Koopa won't only give you memories of the forgotten yet lovable yellow Koopa from Super Mario World, but they'll leave a trail of coins behind. And if you hated Hammer Brothers and Lakitu before, you'll love them here, as their only goal is to make it rain. You'll also find dozens of coins randomly bursting out of pipes and scattered throughout the levels. These mechanics are fun. It's satisfying to collect coins, and seeing how the enemies behave when turned golden is interesting. You may be asking yourself, there's probably a specific reason why there are so many coins, and they likely have a major purpose in the game, and that is where the demise of New Super Mario Bros. 2 begins. There's never a reason explained to why there are so many coins, and not only that, but the coins barely do anything. All they do is give you extra lives, and if you do reach the goal of collecting 1 million of them, you'll be greeted to the lamest reward in gaming history. When I think of coins, I would at least think of something like a shop to spend them in. That way these golden gimmicks would actually have a purpose. Super Mario Odyssey was the very first mainline Mario game to make coins function like currency, and you can buy items and costumes for Mario. That would have been great here. Even Super Mario Land 2 did something different with the coins, where they're used in the casino zone to earn extra lives and power-ups. So essentially, the coins in New Super Mario Bros. 2 are nothing more than a gimmick, bringing nothing of substance to the game. This is exactly why the term gimmick usually has a negative connotation. We've established that the game is fun with great level design, but it all falls flat because of just how easy the game is, as well as the main new mechanic amounting to nothing. And let me tell you straight up, I'm gonna be even harsher on the presentation. As I stated before, this game looks identical to New Super Mario Bros. Wii. That wouldn't be such an issue if the locations were more varied. This game uses the same locations from the first two games, and they look exactly the same as well. The theming isn't the main problem. You can take existing themes and do interesting things with them. Let's use Super Mario Odyssey as an example. That game has kingdoms based on common Mario themes, such as grassy plains, the desert, snow, and the beach. But all of them are memorable because each theme has a unique twist. The Sand Kingdom takes inspiration from Mexico, complete with a colorful town and Sugar Skull residents. Even something as basic as the red sand gives it an identity. Applying that to a 2D Mario game could be as simple as just changing the background. Super Mario Land 2 managed to have very unique locations, and that game didn't even have color. New Super Mario Bros. 2 has almost 100 levels, and only 2 locations in the game managed to be even somewhat memorable, those being the sunset and night levels. Why not have a world based on those? The locations here are incredibly bland, and there's no attempt to make them look even somewhat original. On a more positive note, the new enemies look very cool, the Bone Goombas and Piranha Plants being my favorites, and the gold enemies look nice as well, but the overall visual presentation is forgettable. Oh, and about the 3D effect, it's as useful as Joy-Cons. All it does is blur out the background. There are zero mechanics that take advantage of the 3D, but perhaps the worst aspect of the presentation is the lack of an original soundtrack. There are only 3 new songs in the game, used for the maps of the 3 special worlds. The rest is either remixed Mario music, or from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And to be honest, it sounds worse in some cases. You're probably aware of the ba-ba sound effects used in the soundtrack of every New Super Mario Bros. Game. They're added to the soundtrack to have enemies dance to the music. Regardless of what you think of them, they're used somewhat sparingly and accent the music. But here, the main theme is literally made entirely out of bas. Have a listen. If that isn't Bacapella, I don't know what is. Yeah, I don't think this game is gonna win any awards for the soundtrack. Perhaps maybe a Golden Raspberry, but that's kinda it. Needless to say, the presentation is incredibly lazy, and I don't like it. It's bad. With the main campaign being a rehash, the defining new mechanic resorting to nothing, and a presentation that's as tasty as cold french fries, this should be the point to deem the game as a lost cause. But as with all New Super Mario Bros. Games, there are a few side modes here. The game has co-op multiplayer, but only for 2 players, and it works just how you would expect it to. The main issue I have with it is that it requires both players to own a copy of New Super Mario Bros. 2. The Mario vs. Luigi mode in the first game only required 1 game card, and to be honest, I found it more fun. You also shouldn't expect Luigi to teach you gambling in 3D, but you can rank up coins to gamble with in the Coin Rush mode. Your goal is to play through 3 different stages to get as many coins as possible within 100 seconds. This mode is... how can I put this? This mode is not just great, but the best thing about the game. The main campaign lacked challenge, but there's actually a good amount of challenge here. This mode was so much fun that perhaps it inspired New Super Luigi U to use the 100-second time limit for all the levels. This was also one of the very first Nintendo games to have paid DLC, or really DLC at all. For the price of $2.50 USD each, you could purchase new Coin Rush packs. These will not affect the final verdict, but are worth bringing up. Unlike the randomly selected default Coin Rush levels, These have 3 new levels. I didn't get every Coin Rush pack, but the 3 I played the most, I got dozens of hours out of. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is notoriously easy, but oh my gosh, some of these new levels are completely unforgiving. The Nerve Rack pack isn't too difficult, but it does require quick reflexes. The Gold Classics pack contains remakes of levels from the first Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3. It was a free download for quite some time too, but by far the most interesting pack is the Impossible pack. To this day, these are the hardest Mario levels. If you're up for an extreme challenge, these levels are for you. Coin Rush is a blast to play, and I'd love to see it return in the future. So far we've established New Super Mario Bros. 2 severely lacks challenge, originality, and it has a lazy presentation, but the Coin Rush mode is a blast to play, and the levels are fun and well designed. So what's the verdict? Do I even need to say it? I think it's quite obvious that New Super Mario Bros. 2 is tragically not as good as it could have been. What, were you expecting me to deem the game as trash? Here's the thing, the game itself compared to other Mario games is derivative, stagnant, and mediocre. It barely added anything new to the series. Going from something grand to mediocre is indeed a bad thing, but at its core, New Super Mario Bros. 2 is a continuation of New Super Mario Bros., and if you love that game, you'll at least find some fun here. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any fun with the game, as I put many hours into it. It's also pretty satisfying to collect the coins, even though they resort to nothing. I somehow managed to get almost 200 hours out of the game. Not counting technical limitations and accounting for creativity and innovation, this is certainly one of the worst mainline Mario games. The only games inferior to it are Super Mario Run because of the stupid always online requirement, and Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Funnily enough, New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels have a lot in common. They're by far the most derivative Mario games out there, adding next to nothing to the series. The only difference is the polar opposite difficulty, where New Super Mario Bros. 2 is too easy, while Lost Levels is too difficult. I stated that I got hours of this game, and it's the definition of a guilty pleasure. This game is highly replayable, especially when it comes to collecting star coins, and if you do want to go for that million coin challenge, it's fun to do. I'm well aware that there are many better Mario games out there, but at the very least, New Super Mario Bros. 2 is a competent and fun 2D platformer. And when the jumping the shark moment for the Mario series is playing it too safe, you can say for certain that that's a damn good series. However, even though I'm not denouncing New Super Mario Bros. 2 as trash, it's the farthest thing from treasure. It's getting the very specific rating of tarnished bronze. It is something that still could be good, but the flaws completely overshadow it. At best, the game is decent, but for a Mario game, there's much to be desired no amount of coins could address. This game remains one of my least favorite games in the entire Mario series. We learned today that all that glitters is not gold, but maybe the sequel's better? It's all about you, because Trash or Treasure New Super Mario Bros. U will be coming soon. I'm curious to know your thoughts on New Super Mario Bros. 2, as I'm sure most wouldn't call it their favorite Mario game, but it has been seen in a more positive light recently. Let me know in the comments, and keep calm and da-da on.